We are. This
What a
guy has been
segue.
doing a show for 54 weeks in a row. What a segue. Let's go from the 2025 Hoosiers to the 2026 Hoosiers. And I think it's important to make the distinction that the 2025 season, we've talked about it. Signetti talks about it. A football season is like building a house, right? And each year you have to build a new house. And so, as sick and as awesome as the 2025 house was, where at the end of the season everything's humming at the highest level and the offense is going, and it's like now you have to start completely over, start from ground zero. And not only are you starting from ground zero, but you're basically doing it with a whole new cast. And so, let's talk about spring ball and let's talk about the 2026 Indiana Hoosiers, because I think I I hope people don't make the mistake of like looking at the 2026 team and being like, if it doesn't go exactly like it did for the 2025 team, like I'm going to be really nervous, because they're very clearly different. So before I kind of get into the 8 or 9 takeaways I have written down, is there anything that's jumping out about spring ball to you, Jamie?
Yeah, so I think that I think people are going to have to. I'm not saying temper expectations, because I think this team's going to win a ton of games. I just think that it's going to be the same slow build that it was last year. I think that this is how Sig does it. So it's just he's going to be chewing ass all spring. He's going to be on guys. We already saw it with Nick Marsh. He wants to show everyone that no one is special. It doesn't matter if you're a walk-on, or if you're Nick Marsh, or if you're Charlie Becker, or if you're Josh Hoover. You do it the way that we do it, or you're going to sit. And so I think that one of the biggest takeaways is that IU just came off of a national championship, and Kurt Signetti is already, again, like you said, on to this year, but he's also he's laying the foundation for what flies and what doesn't fly. And I was talking about this with someone in my mentions on Twitter. I think it was Patrick, and he was just saying the standard is the standard. And it's yeah, the standard is the standard with this football program. And if you are going to play for them, then the standard is the standard. You're getting treated just like the walk-ons. You're getting treated, no differently than anybody else. And it's good to see that's still happening again, even though they won a national title, which is still absolutely insane to me. But they won a national title. It's on to this year, and we're at the same spot where we're at ground zero, like you said. That's it. We're doing it over. Everyone's different. Everyone comes in. There are guys that are going to start. We know that already. There's not battles at some positions, but you're not going to be slipping. No one's going to be slipping. So I think just to start, that's kind of the takeaway that I have, at least from the macro view of it. We can get to the micro obviously here shortly.
Brad?
I think Jamie nailed it on the head. It's we got it's every year. I'm beat Signettiism. We're building a new house. All right, we got new foundational pieces. This team brings back 18 guys that have been in Signetti, 101 for about 2+ years now. So we can equate that to him bringing in the 13 James Madison transfer. So it's we have now 18 guys that have been there, done that, have been involved with the team. We take an uplift in blue chip ratio, now at 16 blue chip guys, 24/7 composite, my source. So in that sense, more talented. But at the end of the day, if we learned anything about the 2025 team, it really just comes down to what are you doing? How are you getting better each and every day? Are you sticking to it? And some guys are going to, some of the new guys are going to, fall in suit and figure it out, and some aren't. And that's just how it goes. And just excited to kind of see. I'm going high level here. I have some, takeaways that I want to talk about, but I'm sure Keezer has them written down. But yeah, just excited to kind of see these guys start fresh. I think it was cool to bring in, some of the guys that were attending pro day to kind of talk to the team a little bit. Just hey, I got my pro day tomorrow where I'm going to be a 3rd, 2nd round pick. And it's because I just listened to Coach Sig and just did what he told me, And it really is. I think having that kind of, I've compared it to the Duke basketball brotherhood, where it feels very brotherhood-esque in terms of just the standard's the standard. You got to do your part. You're either in or you're out. It's that simple, and you just gotta fall in line, and we're gonna win a ton of football games, and everyone's gonna get paid and get drafted. It's gonna be super fun. We're gonna have a great time come November, December, January, right? And I think that's the goal. And I think all the guys there all spoke to Sig, and they should be following in suit.
I 100% agree. I wanted to go back to something Jamie said because I thought it was kind of important because I didn't bring it up, but the Cignetti chewing out Nick Marsh and the gold shoes thing, which blew up and ended up on First Take and all that stuff. It's like people miss the whole point there. Is like when you have a group of new transfers, it's like, how do you get everybody's attention? You target the best player and you blow them up. And that's what you do. And it had nothing to do with Nick Marsh, the football player, or how Curt Cignetti feels about Nick Marsh, but nobody's above the program. And so that's why that happened. That's team building 101. And it was an absolute nothing story. But even Aiden Fisher said, like,
about that quote was at the end, he's just like, yeah, he's working really hard.
Yeah. But then Aiden Fisher said he was around practice and he saw Sig and he's like, he's the same guy. And so for anybody who was nervous that a championship would change him or that he wouldn't stalk complacency the same way, it's the same guy. But my first takeaway from spring practice, and Jamie, I'd love to get your thoughts first. Baylor Wilkin is taking all of the left tackle one snaps. And I can't believe this wasn't day one stuff for because I found this out on the third day of spring ball. But what was your main takeaway learning that it was Wilkin getting all the snaps in place of Carter Smith?
I mean, I can't say I'm shocked. I mean, I do have to say they are thin at tackle. I think him and Liebfried are going to be Liebfried is going to be the swing inside guy. And I think Wilkin will be the outside guy. But this is the dude. It's the tackle body the tackle body type that I absolutely love. It's the guys that come in that are 6'5", 6'6", but aren't filled out as freshmen, but they're athletic. And that's what he showed. If you watched his huddle video, I mean, I picked him as my quote unquote deep sleeper last year going into spring, because if you watch the huddle videos of him, he's an athlete. He's more of an athlete than he was a football player. And you're seeing it, now, to be a redshirt freshman. I mean, he's only been on campus for 9 months or something or whatever. I don't even know. Maybe because he was there last year, a year. He's only been on campus for a year, and he's the backup tackle at either spot. So it wasn't surprising to me, but it just shows that this is another thing. He wasn't a highly rated recruit. It's a kid that they saw that they thought was athletic, that they thought they could mold. And he's been molded, and he's the backup guy, and he's probably going to eventually replace Carter Smith. And so it is a huge story because I think Carter Smith's out. He talked to the media. Was it today or was it? I think it was today. And he had labrum surgery, which is, I mean, I did want to get your guys' opinion on this because I was going to ask you in DMs. But do you think that one of the reasons that he didn't declare and he came back, well, first of all, he's getting paid a ton, I'm sure, so that obviously helps, but did you think that one of the reasons that he came back was that he was hurt, that he was playing with a tear in his shoulder? Do you think that was one of the reasons that he came back? And then we can get back into Baylor Wilkin, but I thought that was an interesting thing that I knew something was wrong with him, but to have a labrum tear or whatever it was, it's a significant injury. So for him to, obviously he said he would be back during fall camp. And he's played so much football that doesn't even really matter. He knows what he's got to do to get ready. But I did think it was just an interesting thing. And I wanted to see your guys' perspective on if you thought that was one of the reasons that he didn't actually declare for the draft, or if you thought he had more stuff to show, which he does. But I mean, where are you guys on that?
Brad?
It's a little bit of both. Has to be. I mean, it has to be. All factors have to be considered here. I don't think it's black or white here. It's what's great is that he had the eligibility to come back and he was hurt, and he's like, okay, I can come back and I can still get paid and kind of rehab and get better at the same time and develop. And when my time comes to get my name called by Roger Goodell or whoever, he's going to be ready. And he's an NFL guy. I don't know if he's a tackle or a guard, but he is an NFL player, just being on the left tackle of a 27-2 team. It's hard for me to imagine he can't fill one of those 5 spots on one of those 32 teams. It has to be just a little bit of both, and that's okay.
Yeah, I do think it's so. Just getting back quickly to Wilkin, it's a huge spot for him. I mean, The only guys that they have really so one of the freshmen they have coming in, Kenton Mondo, isn't even on campus yet. The other one is Ben Novak, who's like a 6'6", 317-pound tackle. He's also a true freshman. And he's a tackle body, so like longer guy. But that's it other than a Johnny. And I know they talked about, I think I've read where they had Evan Parker playing one of the tackle spots as well. I know that Bostad does the thing where every single, everyone plays almost everywhere basically. And I think Liebfried could easily, kick out because he's
so versatile. He can play all five. I think
right.
He's a backup center.
When we were projecting going into it, it was like Liebfried was like, we talked about the playable depth. Like the 5 seems pretty solid. And it was like Liebfried's the only sure thing that we know is like ready to go. So having Wilkin being able to kind of step into that tackle role is huge. Now we got 7 playable guys on the O-line for sure that seem to be like ready to go. Like we got Ohio State tomorrow. Like we got with Carter Smith, or we got 6 guys ready to roll. And I think you mentioned it with like Bostad, that versatility, the way they kind of develop alignment. It seems like they want guys that can kind of go. Wilkin being at 290 is pretty strictly a tackle. It's going to hard to bump him in, but like Parker getting tackle snaps because I have him as a guard. Like that's versatile. Liebfried, tackle body, but sounds like, I don't hate 6'6", 320 at my center. I don't hate it. I don't hate that at all. So it's great that we have all that kind of experience. And then it's really just about getting Merrick and Parker kind of up to speed as kind of the 2 second-year guys to, fill out the rest of that depth. But like 7's plenty you need. We had 6 going into last year. So we should be just fine.
Yeah. To go back to the Carter Smith question,
included 7 with Ajani actually. So we're about at the same spot where I would say a more solid set starting 5 with the O-line spot. So Joe Moore Award, here we come.
I was going to say, going back to the Carter Smith question real quick, he said it as much himself in his press conference that part of the reason why he did decide to come back was because he wanted to prove that he could put the same stuff on tape that he had pre-injury, post-injury, and that it wasn't going to be some sort of question mark going into the draft where it's like, yeah, we saw this, but so I think that did have a lot to do with it. I think if Carter Smith was healthy and he had the same tape going into it where teams didn't have to try and guess what he'd look like post-injury, it'd take a lot of that guesswork out of it. Because like if you wanted to be like a Carter Smith hater, quote unquote, you can look at the national championship game and look at the way those 2 first-round defensive ends got after everyone on our offensive line, pretty much everybody that those 2 guys specifically played against. And then you could have some reservations about whether or not you felt like Carter Smith was an NFL left tackle. That being said, you now know he's playing through an injury and that he's going to come back. And if he puts the same season out, yeah, he's probably going to be a first or second round pick. Like he's the best lineman in the Big Ten. He's coming back next year. But for Baylor Wilkin,
first round DNs tend to make NFL O linemen look pretty silly sometimes. So I think they're okay.
Yeah, it's all right. If they're he was like
sometimes.
Carter Smith was the best lineman in the Big Ten this year, and he's returning. But who's in the chat saying fourth quarter will be huge for the O line development for those young guys. 100% agree with that. But yeah, this is a massive opportunity for Baylor Wilkin, who, if you remember, I think he was in one of the All-America games as a senior in high school.
He was an Army All-American.
Yeah. Just a really impressive player, a kid who was completely bought into the program from day one. And it's cool to see that type of effort and dedication be rewarded. So we'll see what he does with that.
Army All-American, but technically not a blue chip. So, like, what are we doing? I don't know. Fringe guys. We know who they are,
And then Hoosiers are saying the injuries to the tight end position will impact the season, but should be fully up to speed before non-conference schedule ends. Completely agree with that. Cignetti in his press conference, obviously we're not going to go through the smoke because there's probably another hour plus worth of smoke. They'll probably we're just releasing another video this week. But one of the things that Sig said last week was that we have 1.5 tight ends because I believe he's talking about Thierry didn't line up on the line at all as a high schooler. And so what do you guys, Jamie, first? What is your takeaway early for the tight end room as we're watching? It's Barker getting the tight end 1 snaps right now, at least from the videos we're seeing.
Yeah, so I mean, Schott is hurt, and then I know Parker. I know Parker Elmore and Trevor Gibbs are both essentially out. And PJ McFarland, who I believe is also might be hurt, but he's off campus. Yeah, he's not even on campus yet, right? Yeah. And I think so with Theory, he was like, he just basically did it all. I mean, he's from a small town, like on the border of Wisconsin and Minnesota. And, he's just like, there's not that many guys that are like 6'4", 230 that can do what he does. So he just kind of did it all. And then Barker, I think I told you guys this. Like if you watch Barker's huddle video, he was in an option offense. So he was just always by far the most athletic dude on the field. And it was like funny just watching him play tight end, but like not get the ball for no reason and just like be just driving little kids back into the end zone or something like that. Very funny. So yeah. So I mean, that's one of the things that I think that Sig does really well is that I think you can see the kind of guys that they target is that they want that guy that can do it all. They also want a blocker, which I think is what they think Barker can probably be. Shots the do it all guy. And then Theory is more of that H-back type athlete and not really a blocker. And so, it's their time to shine. If they want to play, I mean, they're going into the season with 3 redshirt freshmen and they're going to have 3 true freshmen at the tight end spot. So they're going to be super young. So all the 3 redshirt freshmen are going to get a chance to play. And we'll see what happens. Cause apparently from what I had heard, Brock Schott looks big and, people, they love, I know that for a fact that Signetti loved that dude. So, once he's healthy, I think he's probably got the inside track to start, but then you got Barker, who's going to be that extra tight end type. He's already at 6'4", 250 is what they put out on him in this most recent, like the spring practice updated roster. But Theory's also 6'4", 236 now. I mean, they're putting on good weight and it's exciting because I think that at least Theory, I think is just going to be, he's one of the guys. I mean, I know we've talked about this offline, but like that's the guy that I think that has a chance to be, he could be a really good player. And again, I don't know a ton about Schott other than his huddle video looked really good. So, that's another guy. You don't get ranked in the top 200 if you're not a really good player typically. So, or at least a really good athlete. And, IU's got at least 2 and Barker looks like that as well. He just looks like a bigger dude. So excited about the tight end room. And it's a huge time for both Barker and Theory because they are going to get they're literally going to get every single rep. I mean, I don't think they even have a walk on tight end. I don't believe. Yeah.
No, Sig actually said, don't be surprised if you see people like, he didn't say this, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, don't be surprised to see some people kind of in weird positions as they just try and get people work as they work in 3 to 4 position groups for each position.
I mean, it makes total sense. I mean, they played, I think someone talked about it. I can't remember who it was now, but someone, Roman Hemby in his interview is basically talking about how it was such a short turnaround for the combine. I mean, they were basically playing until the end of January. Like a lot of guys were just done in the middle of around Thanksgiving. So, a lot of these guys are still like, it's a slower time to get these guys built back up, which is why they started a couple weeks later. And again, just a big opportunity for both of those guys to show what they have because they're going to play, I think. So we'll see.
Brad,
I mean, it's by far the most intriguing room just because there's so much unknown in terms of like who's going to actually get the tick. It really does seem like with the injuries, we're very high on Gibbs coming into it, but him being hurt and Elmore just needing a couple sandwiches or 2, how I like to put it, makes it very obvious that it feels like, when we try to replace Nowakowski, Stays, and Bomba in the 3 tight end set when we go 13 or when we go 10 personnel, Barker seems to have a very good opportunity to have an inside track to be like that main guy. Despite all the talent coming out from Brock Schott, like he's going to have all the reps. He's probably getting all the first team guys because he's the only one that's played of the 2 guys, the only one that's played, 3-point stance type guy. And it's very intriguing because it's like when Gibbs comes back, I think he can mix in a little bit, but like each of these guys bring in their own kind of special little flavor. Like Schott seems like the most well-rounded one. I think Jamie put it perfectly. He's the most well-rounded. Barker's more the blocking type. Thierry's going to be more the receiving type, but obviously they're going to develop them to become more well-rounded players at that position, much like a Horton, who's playing who's going to be at Lions training camp next year. So like they're trying to build more into that mold where they all kind of fit that 6'3", 6'4", around 240 type frame, and being able to kind of just do it all and build more into it. I agree with Hoosier-ish. Elmer gives me Loveland vibes, but I see red shirt all over that guy. I can't wait to see him be all Big Ten in 3 years, type player. He's more of a stash player is how I like to call it. But Barker has a great opportunity. I actually moved because of the injuries. I moved him up to first string just because he has the leg up on shot now. And it really feels like it's between those two for me, considering Thierry probably needs some development on the 3-point stance type bit. But don't be surprised if you see him going a little H-back, motion out, kind of what they do with Nowakowski. Nowakowski obviously did it all, but like having Thierry kind of go in motion, be more of a receiver type player, obviously kind of gives a tell a little bit when you go personnel, hence why they're trying to develop into well-rounded tight ends. It's just very fascinating. I just can't wait to see how it pans out. But it seems like Barker and Thierry, fantastic opportunity for those guys to really thrive and get with the program and become contributors earlier in their career, which is not an opportunity that really is given to you too often in the Signetti program, where you can be a redshirt freshman. It's like, damn, I'm competing for a starting job. Like that is the only room where that's like a thing, where they have an actual like give it like we are going to start a freshman at tight end. And I brought this point up before where we have 4 really good receivers. So we can go, what do you call it? It's not 10 personnel is where you have 4 wide. I was wrong. 13 is where you have
13 is 3 tight ends.
I had it right the first time. But anyways, we can go 10 personnel a lot. This coaching staff has been shown that they're able to evolve the defense from first year to second year, where they got a lot more diverse with their personnel. They're able to go dime, nickel, 4-2-5. They're able to go 3-3-5 and 4-3-4, right? And they were able to do all those different things and not miss a beat. Got to imagine the offense is going to find a way to get Morris, Preston, Becker, and Marsh on the field all at the same time, which puts a little bit of alleviation on the need for us to really accelerate the development, which obviously it's all we want is for all our guys to be really good, but a lot less pressure on them to be like all conference tight ends right off the bat, right? They'll be contributors for sure. We'll need to go and use our tight ends, but with the talent we have at receiving isn't going to be not. It's really just the block. Like who's going to get the blocking down is kind of what it seems like. That's why I'm giving Barker kind of the inside track, because that's all that guy did. He had a nasty tape where all he was doing was just mowing guys down, very similar to Baylor Wilkin, where that dude was just addicted to pancaking, just driving kids and making them eat dirt. So it seems like Barker might be the best fit and has a leg up, just him not being hurt.
So, I mean, Brad, I feel like you're doing my job for me. So you talked about 10 personnel, so I'll just whack the tennis ball back to you. The other takeaway that I've been having is that it's pretty much impossible to cover this Indiana group of wide receivers. So what are you seeing very early in camp? And then obviously Jamie. Or I guess we'll go to Jamie first because Brad's drinking. Jamie, what are you seeing from these?
I'm ready to go. I'm a receiver guy. I'm going first. Ohio State has Jeremiah Smith and probably some other 5 stars. It's going to be hard for me to convince me there's a better group of 4 receivers than Morris, Preston, and then you got Marsh and Becker, who I see as like first round ceiling guys. To top it off, like, yeah, you have one Jeremiah Smith, but we have a Marsh and a Becker. Like, we're going to spread the ball out like we always do. Everyone's going to eat, and just so much playmaking potential just from that group. And then you got true sophomores, guys that were able to carve out roles, and Chandler and Bond there just kind of waiting in the wings. And, Brady being wide receiver 5, didn't see a whole lot of them, but when guys got hurt, they had to step up, and like very confident in Chandler and Bond going into like the depth of this group is astronomically above where it was last year, where, we really needed the emergence of Becker to really make us feel a lot better. Obviously, Mekhi Jackson leaving because of that kind of left us where it's like, damn, if all our guys were hurt at the same time, we would have been in tough spots where it would have been just Becker and EJ out there, and Brady at times, which would have been fine in this offense. They just seem to get open and everything seems to work. And with the rise in talent, where it's like Becker's a 4-3 guy, like Marsh is probably a 4-4 guy. Like they got speed, they got size. They're both 6'3". Shaz Preston's a blue chip guy. He's a Nick Saban recruit. And then you have Tyler Morris, who's a 2-time national champion, top of the off-run slot. He's a 4-3 guy as well. They got speed, they got size. It's an amazing group. Love seeing Nick Marsh get chewed out early. I think he made a great point. Just chew out the best player, spring off right. And it's almost like, I don't know, it's going to work out in our favor. And I feel like Marsh is going to make some really big plays for us coming up in this year. He later made, on that same day, a one-hand snag running a slant. Absolutely disgusting. Looked like a young me out there.
I was thinking the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
I was like, holy shit, you just like me for real. And yeah, it's promising. I like the group. Very big fan.
Jamie?
Yeah, I did, because I echo it, Brett. I mean, I think that they're loaded. I do think that one of the things that I had heard just from people that have been at the practices, because I asked specifically about one, was it's just, I think that people don't realize how good Tyler Morris could be. He is apparently, he was back practicing. He practiced. I know he practiced at Alabama because for the Alabama Rose Bowl game. I know he was practicing then. Obviously, he got hurt last year. That dude carved out a small role at Michigan, but they were basically just like an option team. They just literally only threw to Colston Loveland essentially. So it was kind of hard to carve out any role there. But I think that he's going to be one of the guys, at least in my opinion, that people are going to be like, oh, wow, we just have this guy and we didn't even know he wasn't even an addition from this year. It's like, this is just a senior that's going to be back and be starting in the slot, super smooth athlete. And then the other one that I asked about was Bond, because, I thought, at least for me, I thought that Bond last year might carve out a role because of the way that IU in 24 used both Price and Williams so much. I just thought that like he was going to, if there was one guy that was a freshman that might make plays, I thought it would either be Chandler or Bond. And just with the inside track to Bond, just because there wasn't that many after Morris got hurt, there just wasn't a slot receiver per se. Little did we know that they were just going to have, that Charlie Becker was going to turn into a first round pick, like in the middle of the season, coming out of absolute nowhere. But yeah, so LeBron Bond, super smooth athlete as well. I think that he's going to have a chance. And this, again, I think that one of the things that spring does is like, you're just not going to, there's no reason for Charlie Becker to be getting a ton of reps. I'm sorry. I know he's only a true junior, but like what he showed on the field last year against the best corners in the country, like he doesn't need to be out there busting it up with the ones every time. Give some of these other guys a chance. I want to see what Davion Chandler has to do or is all about, because like we saw a little bit when he just ran away on that screen pass from Purdue. But Miles Kendrick, another one who's a redshirt freshman, so we'll see. I don't know if he's an inside or an outside guy, but I think obviously the top four are Marsh, Becker, Preston, and Morris. And I think you can throw Chandler and Bond as the two guys that are like easily give you a top six in the wide receiver room. And, we'll see what kind of roles they carve out. Cause with the uncertainty at tight end and with the injuries that they have, there's going to be a lot more 4 wide receiver personnel this go around, or even 2 running back personnel. Cause we can talk about them in a little bit too. So it's going to be interesting to see how they build the offense. Because I just honestly, like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, how do you cover Marsh and Becker on the outside? Like, it's going to be very.
You literally don't. That's the thing.
It's going to be fun to watch, and I'm very excited to do it.
No, absolutely. A note on Kendrick, who he's coming off an injury, which is why he ended up having to. He's probably going to end up redshirting last year, but injury recovery for him. We haven't, obviously they're not going to put a mic in front of a true freshman or a redshirt freshman. So you probably won't hear about his journey specifically from him to the media like we were able to do for like Lee Beebe, who was coming off the season-ending injury from last year. But yeah, that room is deep. It's young. It's got a bunch of different types of playmakers in it. And yeah, Those guys are really explosive and really exciting. I would push back on like the notion that Charlie Becker doesn't need a lot of reps with the ones, only because it's Josh Hoover is a completely different quarterback. So like, if it was Fernando Mendoza and like they had the roommate connection, all that good stuff,
no,
I
that's
completely agree with you. It's like, let's see what those guys got. But
no, I think you're right. That's actually
that's
a tremendous point. You're right. You're right. I was more thinking about like just keeping his body fresh because of all the,
No, that's 100%.